beyond. Welcome to day 26 of our trek through Lenten 2021. As we always do, we begin with a recipe, and today's recipe, I call it no-kill collard greens. And when I say no-kill, I mean we do not cook out all of the nutrients in the collard greens like we fix them, like we do when we fix them for holidays, for Sunday dinners, the way our grandmothers and mothers taught us how to make them. These are not those. These collard greens are particularly for those of us who suffer with diabetes. Collard greens, kale, mustard greens, Swiss chard, beet greens, anything green, we call them cruciferous. Anything deep green is literally medicine for us. And so we can't afford to add in all the meat and add in all the lard, not even the turkey butts, the stuff, the ham hocks, the ham shanks, the stuff we normally add to our collard greens strips away the nutrients. And then by the length of time, the hours that we cook these collard greens and the salt that we add to them really kills us. But to get the nutrients that literally lowers our blood sugar is the way I'm going to make these greens today. I've gotten used to it. I actually prefer it this way. But I know some of you are going to demand that I turn in my black card. But the devil is alive. I'm going to be alive to beat his butt. How about you? Join me. And so you want to begin particularly with a small bunch of big leafy collard greens. Washed. I don't care how long you cook the greens. You cannot skip the washing process. And so just because they're under that little sprayer in the grocery store does not mean they're clean. And so we wash them. With soap. I've added a couple of pictures to show you just the washing process and how long it takes you to do that. But before we put the collard greens in, and I'm using just a regular frying pan, not even a skillet. So you want olive oil. You actually want 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now I've been doing this forever, so I'm going to do that. And you want, if you have fresh garlic, it's better, but I don't have any, so I'm using my garlic powder, my salt, the unprocessed salt, which again, you want to use less of because it's very powerful. Cracked pepper. Remember the chicken base that I told you that's not actually chicken base. 2 teaspoons in a cup of water is the equivalent of 1 bouillon cube. So 2 teaspoons, a cup of water, and you have the equivalent of a chicken bouillon cube. I've got about 1/4 of an onion chopped up right here. I don't know if you can see. Chopped up right here. And then I have sweet red pepper. It's not quite as red, it's more orange. But in the package of just mixed sweet peppers, I just cut those up. Some I diced and minced. Others I just left ring light because I like the color. And so as I turn on my stove, medium heat, these are going to cook about 10 minutes and that's it. And I'm not even waiting for this to get hot because I don't want it to fry. So I just mix in my peppers, my onion. Again, I want them to heat. I don't want them to fry. And even if some of the seeds from the pepper gets in, that is all right. And then I add my seasonings. Again, you add as much as you want to for your taste. This is not precise science. This is literally taste. And again, you're not going to get that meat taste. You're not going to get the greens that are drowning in oil. This is all the salt that I'm using. That's it. And that's going to be a lot. And with that, particularly when I use the seasoning. So, and of course, I didn't bring my teaspoon. But I'm going to mix it before the pan gets too hot. Because while all of this is cooking, that's about all I got in here. While all of this is warming up, then I'm going to cut my greens. So let that heat sizzle together. Now notice I did not put any water in here. I'll do that in a minute, but I'm not going to put a lot of water either. And so while that's doing that, I'm taking my greens and I'm cutting the stem out. The stems actually get in the way of the cooking, but you just want the greens, not the stem. And so you slice it on each side of the leaf. I don't know if you can see, but literally all I'm doing is cutting this stem out. And I'm making use of the time while my pot and my seasonings are getting hot. The stems, like they do when the collard greens are still on the vine or in the ground, the stems will soak up all your moisture. And even though the stem's job is to supply the water and nutrients, they also take away or carry away from the plant all of the nutrients. Oh, my stove is too high. And so we want to cut out anything that has the potential to kill your collards. So that's why I call these things no-kill collards. They will be tasty, but they just won't have that southern flair that we're used to. But that southern flair is killing us. And so my goal is not to lose weight, although I think that'll be a byproduct, but I'm just not going to make that my goal. My goal is to reduce the medication that I'm taking. Now, I have said that before, and in the sanctuary, we have prayed over our medicine. And then as time went by, I went back to my old habits. And so part of my dedication to these meditations, this fast, this Daniel fast, is to not make food. Not have food occupy my thoughts, occupy my day, and to learn to care for myself more than I care about anything else. And so it is really a new way of eating, even though I've tried it before. This is about reducing my medication. And so, as I'm on this quest, I've cut all of the stems out of the green greens. And so now I'm putting like 5 or 6 leaves together. I'm rolling them up and just slicing them. That's what I'm going to put in the pot. My pot is talking. I love it. I love the smell that I'm getting. And I'm just throwing these in the pot until I get them all in. I prefer bigger leaves, but some people like smaller leaves. So have at it. Cut your way. But I think I might make them a little smaller. I don't want to take too much time, but I want to get them in this simmering stuff. This is just a wonderful smell going on in my kitchen. Making me hungry. And so again, just want you to be mindful. And the thing about greens is you put in a whole pot, but by the time they cook down to nothing. But not this way. You maintain a good bit of the greens, and all you really want to do is saute them. You're not doing them like you would normally do, so you're not killing them. You're maintaining the vitamins, the medicine. If we ate more of this, we wouldn't have to take that wretched metformin and that horrible Trulicity, or even if you graduated to injecting insulin. Those of us who are on Trulicity and those of us who are taking metformin, those are boosters. They're not necessarily insulin. They're not insulin. They are insulin boosters. Your body is still making its insulin, but not enough to combat your sugar. So as you can see, I'm just twisting these greens in that mixture of olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic powder, and orange peppers and onion. Still a wonderful, wonderful smell. Now, this is going to simmer for about 10 minutes. Now that the greens are in the pot, I'm going to take just, I would say, a half a cup of water, just till you hear the noise die down in the pot. You don't drown them. You don't even cover them. If there was nothing in the pot, I would say no more water than what would cover the bottom of your skillet. Let this cook. Stir it as you wish. Taste it and season it as you wish. But do not add lard, Crisco, not even vegetable oil. Add olive oil. The olive oil that comes from the crushed fruit. Add seasonings that enhance. If you can stand it, a little bit of turmeric will be good too. I don't like it. But for about the next 10 minutes, these are just going to cook. They're going to cook down. They're going to be very flavorful as long as you twist them and turn them. And they're beautiful. This way you don't cook out the color. They stay a bright green. They soften. They just don't get mushy. And then you have medicine for your body. for something we traditionally eat. This is what the greens look like. I'm not going to allow them to get any less in color or density. The darker the greens, the more the medicine you maintain. Try it. You can get to like them this way. Let's move now to our hymn. And so for our meditation, we are sitting with our backs straight. We are either in a chair, on a bed, on a hard surface, on a pad on the floor. We are here, we are comfortable, and we are in position. And so we begin with a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose with our eyes open, out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Eyes gently closed. We noticed our breathing, how it is such a gift that it continues without our conscious attention. And so we notice its natural rhythm. The inhalation that expands our lungs, the exhalation that contracts our lungs, the rising and falling of the chest, the rising and falling of our stomachs. Feeling the weight of our bodies against the surface. Settling in, realizing we really are here. Because we are in familiar surroundings, we know the room that we're in even with our eyes closed. We know our surroundings. We know our general house sounds. And so we accept those sounds and won't let them break our concentration. But if our thoughts should wander, we just bring them back to the gift of breath. We feel the warmth of the light, God's love, surrounding us, enlightening us, enveloping us, comforting us. We go nowhere without this light. We are children of the light, not of darkness. So we enter into the inner court of the tabernacle, bathed in light. As we approach the table, we do so in our priestly garb, because we are of the royal priesthood. We stand for a moment, realizing our authority and our privilege and our status as we stand before the table of showbread. We have made it to the next loaf. This is the 11th loaf. After this, we only have one more to go, but you must carry with you all of the messages of the previous loaves. But on today, you pick up this loaf, this cake, and it has the same message printed on both sides. And the message says, you will survive. If you turn it over, it says the same thing. You will survive. When you think of all of the things you've been through, you have survived. There is a future ahead of you. You have no idea what's going to happen, nor is it your job, unless you are given a revelation, what will happen. We only have right now. And in this moment that is uninterrupted, unencumbered by somebody else's needs, just you, the priest in the presence of the king. You will survive, is his message to you, his priest. You will survive. You will survive this virus. You will survive this isolation. You will survive this trouble. You will survive this situation. You will survive this current trouble. By the grace of God, the mercies of God, you will survive. You will outlive your enemy. You will outlive those who plotted against you. You will outlive the stubborn foolishness that haunts you. You will survive. Even if the trouble persists, you will survive. And you will survive because you are God's own. You belong to Him. And He belongs to you. Things may seem difficult, but you will survive. He holds you in the palm of His hand, and no one and no thing can pluck you out. You will survive. Bask in your strength. Bask in that hope and that promise. You will. You will survive. And now, we return to the breath. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Do you have that message in your heart? You will survive. Place it in your heart. Grace and peace.